Hey everyone, it's Synchron here. Today's video is going to be a deck profile using the newer structure deck, being the Rokket Revolt structure deck. We're going to be taking 3 of them, making a deck out of them, and going from there. Basically, this is a budget version. It's not crazy competitive. We don't have Boral Sword in here. We don't have Savage Dragon in here for synchro plays. So do keep that in mind that this is only going to be utilizing the cards we have in the new Rokket Revolt structure deck. If you want to add those cards later or at least after the video, by all means, go for it. But for now, we're working with what we have, so let's get into it. For the monsters we run 3 Rokket Tracer. Quick effect, target a face-up card you control. Destroy it if you do special summon a Rokket from your deck to your side of the field, except itself. Also, you cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck except dark monsters, which is no problem because most monsters you're going to run in this deck anyway are dark attribute monsters. You only use this effect of Rokket Tracer once per turn. Next up, we also run 3 Untitled Dragon. If you control a Rokket, you can special summon this card from your hand to your side of the field. However, you only gain that effect once per turn. And if this card is sent to the grave, you can add a Rokket monster from your deck to your hand. You can only use this effect of Untitled Dragon once per turn as well. And before I go into the Rokkets, I would like to point out that when Rokkets are targeted by Link monsters, they gain specific effects. For example, Silver. Oh, did I grab something? Nope, sorry. Got a little carried away there. Silver Rokket Dragon. When it's targeted by a Link monster, quick effect. No, sorry. When it's targeted by a Link monster, quick effect. Destroy this card, and if you do, look at your opponent's extra deck, and if you do that, banish 1 card from the extra deck. And during the end phase, if this card was sent to the grave because it was destroyed by battle or card effect this turn, you can special summon a Rokket monster from your deck to your side of the field, except itself. Next up, we run 3 Magna Rokket. Targeted by a Link monster. Gain the following effect. Quick effect, destroy this card, and if you do, send a monster from the field to the grave. What I love about this card is it does not target, therefore, if your opponent has a problematic boss monster, just send it to the grave. And during the end phase, if this card was sent to the grave because it was destroyed by battle or card effect this turn, special summon a Rokket from your deck except itself. Next up, we also run 3 Auto Rokket Dragon. When it's targeted by a Link, quick effect, destroy this card, then send 1 spell or trap on the field to the grave. End phase, if it was sent to the grave because it was destroyed by battle or card effect this turn, special summon a Rokket from your deck. Oh, I forgot to point out that all effects are once per turn. And for the 1-ofs, we run 1 Shell Rock Dragon. Targeted by a Link monster, quick effect. You can destroy this card, then destroy 1 monster in this card's column. See, this is where the column game comes from, and it's not bad of a card, but you want to put this card in, say, maybe an extra where it's lining up with an extra monster zone. So when it's targeted by a Link monster, say your Link monster, you can destroy a monster your opponent controls, and then gain its end phase effect, which special summons a Rokket monster with a different name from your deck. Next up, we also run 1 Metal Rokket Dragon. Targeted by a Link monster, quick effect, destroy this card, then destroy all of your opponent's cards in the column of this card as well. End phase, if it was sent to the grave because it was destroyed by battle or card effects, special summon a Rokket from your deck except itself. Like I said, draw once per turn as well. And a newer addition that we got in the structure deck, Exploder Rokket Dragon. Actually a personal favorite because I love this thing's effect. When a Link monster effect is activated that targets this face-up card on the field, quick effect, you can destroy it. Then each player takes 2,000 damage. Yeah, free burn right there. Just 2,000 damage right off the bat. However, the only way, the reason why we would do round 1 of this is because you'd probably have to get it out with another Rokket, since it is a higher level and therefore cannot be normal summoned. So the better option is to special summon it. And hope that you have a link monster that actually has a quick effect to target this card on the field to give both players the additional burn damage. And face if this card was sent to the grave because it was destroyed by battle card effect and sent to the grave this turn, you can special summon a Rokket from your deck except itself. What a surprise. It couldn't happen. We also did get our Rocket Synchron, which we do use for Exploder Rokket, just to special summon from the grave. When this card is normal summon, target a level 5 or higher dark monster in your grave, which I just said is Exploder Rokket. Special summon it to his in defense position. It has its effects negated. Also destroyed during the end phase. Also, you cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck except dark monsters. So since the structure deck did not come with a synchron monster, the only real thing you could do with Exploder Rokket as well as Rocket Synchron in this build is to just go for a link summon. And to finally round up all the monsters, we run 2 Gateway Dragon. What I like about this card is the majority of decks nowadays will run a link monster, so this is where Gateway Dragon comes in. If your opponent controls a link monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. You can only special summon Gateway Dragon once per turn this way, and once per turn, you can special summon 1 level 4 or lower dark monster from your hand. Meaning, if your opponent controls a link monster, free special summon as well as a free special summon of a level 4 or lower dragon, or in this case, a level 4 or lower Rokket. But yeah, that wraps it up for the monsters. For the spells and traps, we run 3 boost sector launcher. All Rokkets on the field gain 300 attack and defense. You can activate one of the following effects. Either special summon 2 Rocket monsters with different names from your hand in defense position, or if your opponent controls more monsters than you do, special summon Rocket monsters from your grave with different names up to the difference in monsters. In a sense, say your opponent controls 5 monsters and you control 1 monster, the difference is 4 monsters. So basically, as long as you have enough Rocket monsters in your grave, special summon 4 cents. That's the difference between their field and your field in terms of monsters. And you can only use this effect, Booster Sector, once per turn. Except 2 Boral Regenerator. Activate this card by targeting a Rokket in your grave, special summon it, and equip it with this card, but banish it when it leaves the field. And if this card is sent to the grave because the equipped monster is destroyed, you can draw a card. You're going to use each effect Boral Regenerator once per turn. And the draw card for the deck that we got in the structure deck, 3 Squab Draw. Target a Rokket you control, destroy it, and if you draw 2 cards. You can only use Squab Draw. Oh, sorry, you can only activate 1 Squab Draw per turn. And an easier way to get the Rokket onto your field, Quick Launch. Special summon a Rokket from your deck, but it cannot attack, also destroy it during the end phase. Like I said, you can use it for Squab Draw, you could use it for a easy link summon, or whatever you want to go for, basically. Next up, 2 Twin Twisters, just to target your opponent's back row, as well as get Rocket monsters in your grave for, sorry, I forgot, Quick Launch, etc. We also run 1 Polymerization for the Fusion monster, as well as Rapid Trigger, which is another new card we got in the structure deck. Fusion summon 1 Fusion monster from your extra deck by destroying fusion materials listed on it from your field. But it cannot attack monsters. It can only attack monsters special summoned from the extra deck. Also, it is unaffected by activated effects from any other monster special summoned from the extra deck. You can only activate 1 Rapid Trigger per turn. What I like about this card is, for one, it triggers the rocket effects in terms of like during the end phase, if it was destroyed by battle or card effect and sent to the grave, you could special summon a rocket monster with a different name from your deck to your side of the field. Granted, it doesn't activate the rocket's first effect since they do need to be targeted by a link monster, but in the end phase, you do get that free special summon of a rocket monster from your deck. And the fusion monster being the new rocket fusion monster we got in the structure deck does get a little bit of immunity from extra deck monsters. So yeah, one poly and one rapid trigger. If you want to bump up the ratios, by all means, go for it. And for the traps to finish off this portion of the video, 2 Mirror Force. This is a revolver. He did use Mirror Force, and I figured why not. Pretty self-explanatory. When your opponent declares an attack, destroy all face-up monsters. No, so destroy all monsters your opponent controls that are in attack position. You also do run the 1 Mirror Force launcher. Once per turn during your main phase, you can discard 1 monster, which is what you can actually benefit off of, since some cards do special summon rockets from the grave. Discard a monster, add a Mirror Force from your deck or grave to your hand, which is pretty fun. Catch your opponent off guard. And if this set card is destroyed by your opponent's card effect and sent to the grave, you can set this card. You can set this card from your grave and 1 Mirror Force from your hand, deck, or grave. The reason why we run 1 is because more likely you're going to draw in your Mirror Force, and 2 is a bit clunky. And the final, one of my favorites, the final trap we run in this structure deck profile is Magic Cylinder. Why? Because it was in the structure deck. It's actually a really fun way to catch your opponent off guard if they'd have no response to Magic Cylinder. But unfortunately, Magic Cylinder does target, so you have to be wary of the ratios, since if your opponent controls a monster that can't be targeted, Magic Cylinder is kind of useless. But anyways, when your opponent's monster declares an attack, target the attacking monster, negate the attack, and if you do, inflict damage to your opponent equal to its attack. And that will wrap it up for the spell and traps. For the extra deck, we run 3 Boosted Dragon, 2 Rocket monsters. For this card is Link Summon, and it's a Link 2. Once per turn, you can target a face-up monster on the field. It gains 500 attack and defense. Your opponent cannot activate cards or effects in response to this effect's activation. Your opponent can. If this Link Summon card is destroyed by battle or card effect and sent to the grave, you can target 1 other dragon in your grave, special summon it. You can only use this effect, Booster Dragon, once per turn. Next up, we also run 3 Quad Boral Dragon. Link 2 Dragon monsters, including a Rocket monster. Discard a card, then target a face-up monster on the field. You cannot special summon Link 2 or lower monsters from the extra deck for the rest of this turn. Also, destroy the targeted monster. Then, if it was a Link monster, special summon any number of Rocket monsters with different names from your hand or grave, up to the number of its Link arrows. I'll use this effect once per turn. Wanted to point that out. Next up, the Link 3 of the deck. Triple Burst Dragon, 2+ monsters, except tokens. Once per turn during the damage step, when a spell, trap, or monster effect is activated, quick effect, you can negate the activation. And if this card attacks a defensive position monster, inflict piercing damage. During the main phase, except the turn this card was special summoned from the extra deck, you can tribute 1 monster You can tribute this card, then target a Link 2 or lower monster in your grave, special summon it, then you can special summon 1 level 4 or lower dragon monster from your hand. Next up, 3 Borreload Dragon, the Link 4, the harder Link 4 of the deck to get out, but in a sense the better boss monster of the deck. 3 effect monsters for a Link Summon. Neither player can target this card with monster effects. Once per turn, quick effect, target a face-up monster on the field. It loses 500 attack and defense. Your opponent cannot your opponent cannot activate cards or effects to this effect's activation. At the start of the damage step, if this card happened to battle an opponent's monster, you can place that opponent's monster to any of its link arrows. Any link arrow borrow load points to. No, sorry. Any zone borrow load points to. Sorry, I can't explain. And yeah, like I said, take control of it, but send it to the grave during the end of the next turn. Next up, the promo cards. Topologic Zeroboros. Topologic Zeroboros. Link 4. 2 affect monsters for this link sign. You cannot special summon or set monsters to any extra monster zone this card points to. Gains 200 attack for each banished card if another monster is special summoned to a link monster's link arrows. While this card's on the field, banish all cards on the field. Then, once per turn, during the next standby phase of your next once per turn during the standby phase of your next turn after this card's activation, after this card was banished by its own effect, special summon it to your side of the field. And finally, Borrowload Furious Dragon. The card I was actually wanting to wait for a long time, and I'm glad it's here. Obviously, a fusion monster of the structure deck, requires 2+ dragon monsters for the fusion summon. Quick effect, target a monster you control and a monster your opponent controls, destroy them, which goes well with the Rokkets since they like to be destroyed. And during the end phase, they like to special summon a different Rokket from the deck. Yeah. Okay, you can banish this card from the grave, then target a Dark Link monster in your grave, special summon it, but it cannot activate its effects this turn. You can only use each effect of Borrow Furious Dragon once per turn. And that wraps it up for the extra deck. I do apologize for a horrible explanation, but I hope you can all read it on the screen. So, yeah, that'll do it for the extra deck. Alright everyone, this is the end of the video. What did you all think? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Comment your thought down below. Subscribe if you're new, subscribe if you want, and I will see you all next time.